Hello, everybody. Welcome back to episode 2, I believe, of Rewriting the Business. You know, the save where, the pictures aren't really all that good, but it's fine because that's not what you're here for. You're here for the great booking. So, I did book some more shows, but we're going to look back through all of it because I don't remember much. It's been a long time since we've done this. I believe it's a long time. Let me take a look. Let's take a look. I got it pulled up right here. September. It's been months since we've done this. So our first episode of All-Star Wrestling, we had Barry Windham defeating Adrian Adonis for a 54. We had Angle with Roddy Piper 95. Tito Santana, ended up beating Brutus the Barber Beefcake, and Andre the Giant defeating Don Morocco. Of course, this show was carried by the Angles, absolutely. Then we head over to Primetime Wrestling. Primetime Wrestling being our top show right now. We had 4 pre-show matches where we focus on the women because we want to build a good women's division for the future. We had the Fabulous Moolah defeating Norio Tatino for a 40, Mimi Hagiwara defeating Judy Martin for a 42, Lola Gonzalez defeating Rosie Marino for a 22, Jaguar Yokota defeating Devil Masami for a 30. We had an angle with Bobby Heenan, Big John Studd, and Hogan, absolutely setting up a match for those two at the Rumble, I assume. 87. Bob Backlund defeating Gerald Briscoe for a 60. Jimmy Snuka defeating Paul Orndorff for a 64, where Snuka gets beaten down by Orndorff after the match. IRS defeating Dick Murdoch at 559. Roddy Piper defeating Tito Santana for a 75. Then we have a backstage angle with Mean Gene, with Cowboy Bob, and Andre for a 71. Next up, we have Leilani Kai defeating Itsuki Yamazaki, Jackie Sato, and Bull Nakano in a 4-way match. Get shot out of the gutter because that was a 41. We had a backstage angle with Greg Valentine and Hillbilly Jim, or maybe not a backstage angle, maybe. If I had to guess, it probably was. And then we had Hogan and Savage defeating Big John Studd and Don Morocco for a 73. And so, our next up, we had another All-Star Wrestling, so 69 event. Wyndham defeating Murdoch for 62. Leilani Kai defeating Itsuki Yamazaki for 48. And Roddy Piper defeating Randy Savage for 62. So our next episode of Primetime Wrestling is much better, I think. Yes, it was actually a 4-point better difference to 78, where we had the show open with Hogan, Heenan, and Big John Studd for a 99. Of course, our angles are absolutely carrying the show right now, carrying us. Bret Hart defeated the Brooklyn Brawler for a 45. Leilani Kai defeated Jackie Sato for a 49. Then we had an angle with Mean Gene, Paul Orndorff, and Jimmy Snuka fight against Okerlund asking Orndorff why he attacked Snuka. That was a 70. IRS defeating Adrian Adonis for a 63. Again, we had a backstage angle with Mean Gene, Bob Orton, and Andre. Not really sure what that's all about. Then we had Hillbilly Jim and Jimmy Snuka defeating Greg Valentine and Paul Orndorff for a 71. Angle with Piper for a 100. Mr. Perfect defeating George the Animal Steel for a 58. And then Hogan and Savage defeating Big John Studd and Ken Patera for 75. Then we had All-Star Wrestling. Leilani Kai defeating Jaguar Yokota for 57, U.S. Express defeating the Bushwhackers for 55, and Ricky Steamboat defeating Don Morocco for 64. And then we have Primetime Wrestling because Royal Rumble is in 7 days, so it's next Sunday. So we got All-Star Wrestling to book. I guess I accidentally did this show without thinking. Oh well, it's fine. You'll still get 2 shows. You can still get 2 shows. It's fine. You had Brutus Beefcake defeating Bret Hart for 57. Can't forget about Orndorff, Heenan, and Snuka to open the show at 70. Leilani Kai defeating Lola Gonzalez for a 45. We had an angle with Mean Gene and Don Morocco. We had David Sammartino. We are trying to push David Sammartino, see if he can do better than the IRL. But Sammartino defeating the Brooklyn Brawler for a 43. He had a backstage angle with Gene Okerlund, Valentine, talking about Hillbilly Jim for a 67. He had Bull Nakano versus Itsuki Yamazaki, who's a stinker of the match at a 27. Ivan Putski defeating Buddy Rose for 49. Angle with Okerlund and David Schultz. The North-South Connection defeating the Von Erichs for 57. What was I thinking? Is there something we're doing with the North-South Connection? Why did they beat the Von Erichs? Then we had Hogan and Andre defeating Big John Studd and Bob Orton Jr. for 74. So take a look at our storylines that I really don't remember. Okay, so we're doing Andre versus Cowboy Bob Orton. Okay, so they're in a thing right now. Hogan against Studd. We're doing that, looks like. Murdoch and Adonis versus the U.S. Express. I think IRS and Barry Windham is the U.S. Express. And I think we're putting the titles on them. Who the fuck is the North-South Connection, though. Unless they're the North-South Connection. I'm not sure. We have Rick... Hold on, it'll tell us. Weird. Oh, wait, maybe this Murdoch and Adonis are the North-South Connection. That makes sense. Then we have Richter and Kai. They're doing a thing. We have the Royal Rumble that we're building up to for the next episode. That's going to be our big thing. We're going to have... I think it's obvious who's going to win that. We have Jimmy Snuka versus Paul Orndorff. That rivalry's going on, as well as Greg the Hammer Valentine and Hillbilly Jim. Take a look at our champions right quick. Hogan's our world champion. No surprise there. Greg Valentine's our Intercontinental champion. We just created the Rumble. You know, the lineage. Wendy Richter is our women's champion, and then our world tag team champions, Dick Murdoch and Adrian Adonis. That's good, that's good. So I'm going to move us on over to All-Star Wrestling, and I'll see you in a bit. Okay, we've got WWF All-Star Wrestling. Let's take a listen to the card in front of you now, so let's throw it up on screen. We start off the show with Bobby Heenan coming out with one of his, I guess you could say his cohorts. I don't know what you call it. One of his clients, that's it. He's out here talking about Jimmy Snuka and how his client Orndorff and Snuka has been having some beef recently. And he's saying that Orndorff's going to be watching Snuka closely because at the Rumble, he's going to be done with him afterwards. Pretty much saying he's going to beat the fuck out of Jimmy Snuka at the Rumble. And I'm kind of hesitant on who to give the victory to at the Rumble. We're just going to have to wait and find out. And we start off with our first match, Bret Hart versus Buddy Rose. Another match to get Bret Hart up to the upper echelons of the WWF, where Bret Hart beats Buddy Rose in about 11:50 with the sharpshooter. Bret Hart at a 47. I'm pretty sure he's improving at a 50 rated match. And then we have the U.S. Express taking on Nikita Koloff and Ivan Koloff, the former WWE champion right there. Who had the best in-ring... Dude, IRS and Ivan Koloff were both off the game. That's not good. But Nikolai Volkov had the best performance at a 60. That's actually pretty unexpected. But Ivan Koloff has re-debuted with the company. He's got his Comrade Brute gimmick. It's very good. It's very good. Let's see, there we go. So, 61 rated match was pretty good. We have to give the U.S. Express a victory because they're going into the Rumble to face off against the North-South Connection, which is Adonis and Murdoch. Don't remember if we talked about that. But of course, Barry Windham and IRS, they're getting on the mic and they're, of course, they're hyping up their match at the Rumble, saying how they've been dicked around far too long and they're done. They're pretty much done with it. And they're the North-South Connection is going to find out that they can't hide from them no longer, and they're not going to walk away at the Rumble with those tag belts. Then we have Jimmy Snuka and Don Morocco with the main event. Orndorff is watching this very closely. 73 rated match. Pretty great match. Jimmy Snuka ends up beating Don Morocco with that super fly. And then we had a 70 rated show that was pretty good. Of course, it's being carried. Honestly, that main event was peak performance by Snuka and Don Morocco. It was great. It was great. All right, we are heading into primetime wrestling. We've already got an incident involving Cowboy. He thinks Brutus Beefcake has a bright future. I mean, I agree. You know what? Yeah. We'll talk. We'll think about it. But I have decided we are going to do the Royal Rumble this episode, so that's going to be good for y'all to see. So stay tuned. It is now time for the go-home show for the Royal Rumble for primetime wrestling. It's time. Literally, the Royal Rumble is tomorrow as of January 1985. Anyway, so this is the card, the final card for the Royal Rumble, and I do have a women's match on here, which I forgot to do for the all-time wrestling, so you guys are probably screaming at me. But it's fine. It's fine. God, I'm dying. Anyway. And so we start the show off, pretty much the big three heading into the Royal Rumble. People would expect these three to be the favorites heading into it. Piper, Savage, and Hart, they all get in the mic and they say, I'm going to win the Royal Rumble, which is the title of this episode. I think. Hopefully it is, or I'm going to look like a giant idiot. But anyway, 73 to start off the show. Pretty good, pretty good. Next up, we have David Sammartino versus Brooklyn Brawler. Kind of a throwaway match to give Sammartino some more momentum heading into whatever you want to do with him. Sammartino with the 43 rated match, so Sammartino running even with the segment. I don't know if that means he's carrying or what, but Sammartino does end up beating the Brooklyn Brawler. Next up, we have Ken Patera on behalf of Bobby Heenan and Greg Valentine is going up to his face-off against Hillbilly Jim. And, of course, Ken Patera dominates the match. He beats down Hillbilly Jim. It's a 46 rated, 57-53. Pretty good. However, it's not over. After the match, he's still got his submission hold locked in, the bear hug that he does. And, Greg Valentine's even coming in. The bells ring, because that's what they did back in the 80s, that they would not stop ringing that damn bell. But, yes, they, Valentine and Patera, they planned this. They were going to beat down Hillbilly Jim literally the day before the Rumble, so Valentine could get an easier title victory or title retention. Then we have another throwaway match, Gerald Briscoe versus Buddy Rose. Briscoe beats Rose in 10:03 with a figure 4, 54 rated match. It's okay. Then we have another throwaway match. Kind of get the tag teams on here. Barry Windham versus Dick Murdoch. Windham wins. Really nothing interesting to say, even though it was a pretty good match of 62 compared to how these two performed. I guess it's Lou Albano doing all the work. Next up, our women's match, Leilani Kai versus Mimi Hagiwara, building up Leilani Kai for a title match against Wendy Richter at the Rumble. 45 rated match, Leilani Kai with a 49 to Mimi Hagiwara's 21. So Leilani Kai wins the match. Next up, we have Cowboy Bob Orton losing to Brutus Beefcake as he requested. However, he had some interference with Andre to keep building that match up. Bob Orton with a 69 and Beefcake with a 49. 65 rated match. Pretty good. And then we had our main event when it comes to matches, but we still have one more segment after this, as you saw. Paul Orndorff versus Tito Santana. Orndorff beats Tito Santana with the pile driver. 73 rated match. Amazing match coming from these two. I really want to do something with Santana. I don't know what yet, so if you have any ideas, hit me up in the comments. I'll take any and all ideas. I'm an open book. And then we had our main event. So I think we're going to start having Buddy Rogers be the general manager. I think that's something we can do. I don't know. I don't want to use Vince McMahon, even though he's not the owner anymore. It's Donald Trump. I think. Either that or he's the booker now. Not sure. One of the two. But Buddy Rogers is the guy who's holding this contract, this whole contract signing. He's hosting it. Hogan and Big John Studd, it's your normal affair. They talk some smack. Hogan says, brother, that doesn't work with me. You're going to do the G.O.B., brother. So, and it ends with Hogan body slamming Big John Studd to the contract table with him flexing and doing the posing. That's how we end the show. 85 rated. And we had a 71 rated show heading into the Rumble. And it's now time to book the Royal Rumble. Well then, this wasn't expected. We didn't have Bret Hart in any, big, title matches, like any big storylines outside the Rumble, and he wasn't going to win it. So, but he's been identified as a steroid user, which does, it isn't ideal. We're going to have to suspend him. Hopefully, we'll just keep suspending him until he, gets better with his shit. It is now time for the Royal Rumble 1985. Rewriting the business. The Royal Rumble happens in 1985 because I said so, because I'm rewriting everything. Ha ha ha. It's the name of the title. Name of the series. So let's get straight into it. We start off the show with our 3 color commentators. Vince McMahon, Jesse Ventura, and Gorilla Monsoon. Apparently McMahon and Monsoon struggle when going off script. Stripped? Yeah, stripped. Script. That don't seem right, but we're just going to go with it. They still got a 74 to start off the show of the Royal Rumble. Good start, good start. Next up, I think this might be controversial. I looked at their popularities, and they really weren't, that big of a difference. But I did have Leilani Kai defeating Wendy Richter for the Women's Championship. A big shock to open up the Royal Rumble. If you guys think we should give the title back to Wendy Richter, we can. Just let me know in the comments. Your interaction is very much needed. But Leilani Kai does end up defeating Wendy Richter, become the women's champion. 58 rated match. She did underperform against Richter, so maybe. And Wendy Richter is the flavor of the month, so we might have made a mistake. Next up, a 72 rated match. Paul Orndorff versus Jimmy Snuka. I went back and forth on who to give this victory to, but I'm going to give it to Paul Orndorff. We might have them run it back at No Way Out, which is going to be the February show. But I had Orndorff cheat to beat Jimmy Snuka after Roddy Piper interfered. No, that was supposed to be Bobby Heenan. Oh well, it don't matter. It don't matter. But yes, it was a good show. Orndorff had a good match. 72 for Orndorff, 68 for Snuka, 72 rated match. It's pretty good. And then we had the tag title match. I have another title switch where I gave the U.S. Express the victory over the North-South Connection. Who had the best performance? It was Adrian Adonis. All these guys are very close to one another, so we're probably going to have them run it back at No Way Out. Maybe throw in another team in there, we'll just have to wait and see. But, of course, the U.S. Express win the tag titles with a 66 rated match. 2 new champions here tonight. Then our next match, Andre the Giant defeating Cowboy Bob Orton with a body slam. Andre shouldn't be taking that many L's. I don't know when I'm going to have Andre lose first. Probably have him be undefeated up until we do the Andre Hogan match, which is something I want to do. But Andre beats Cowboy Bob Orton. Andre with a 78, Cowboy with a 68. 75 rated match. This is a pretty good show so far. And then we had Greg Valentine. This is the match that, calmed the crowd because, we just did that whole thing where Hillbilly Jim's coming in weak. But Greg Valentine makes defense in 4 of the Intercontinental Championship, beating Hillbilly Jim with the figure 4 leg lock. Man, everybody's doing the figure 4 today. Then our co-main event, the WWE Championship match, the WWF Championship match, Hulk Hogan versus Big John Studd. Hogan, of course, wins. This is a phenomenal match. I'm kind of worried about the Rumble. I feel like that one's going to flop. But, well, hopefully it won't, because, we got some really good people in there. Hogan ends up beating Big John Studd with the leg drop. Hogan had an 80, Big John Studd a 70. I don't know. I think that's what I'm going to do. I have an idea. I'm not going to say it yet. But, yeah, Hogan, very popular right now. Very great. The Rumble? 61, okay, so I was thinking it was going to be in the 60s, so this is average. So this 1985 Royal Rumble match, Roddy Piper wins the Royal Rumble. The final 4 was Piper, Savage, David Sammartino, and Ted DiBiase. Savage being the final elimination, he was the runner-up. Ken Patera was the man who got the most eliminations. Let's say he got 6 eliminations. And Mil Mascaras, he set the record for the longest. First survived the longest. Let's say he came in number 3. Yes, we do get Mil Mascaras. So, yeah, we have a lot of people we brought in, as you can see. Let's see. We do have some, Jim Neidhart. He debuted in this match. He got a great, crazy brute gimmick. Michael Hayes debuted. His Rockstar gimmick's poor. Mil Mascaras debuted. Rick Martel. Road Warrior Hawk. I didn't want him in the match, but oh well. Ron Garvin debuted. Stan Hansen and Ted DiBiase Sr. all debuted. So, this is great. This is great. And the winner of the Royal Rumble, Roddy the Piper. Yes, we got Roddy Piper. He's the winner of the 1985 first ever Royal Rumble. He is going to WrestleMania to face off against Hulk Hogan. 70 rated segment to end the show. 66 rated show. That's not great. But who are we going to give love to? Who are we going to give love to? Absolutely giving it to Hogan and Big John Studd. That is no question in my mind. And probably Andre, so let's see. Hulk Hogan, Big John Studd, and Andre. Let's see. I'm going to compliment them on their good praised for a great performance. Let's make the speech. Hogan seemed pleased, Big John Studd seemed pleased, and Andre seemed pleased. So, thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully that won't take so long for the next episode. This is the Chaotic One saying, peace.